At least take it out to dinner first. Jeez, man. All right, guys, I have a very, very fun video for you. Today, I am replacing my old D2 racing springs with these beautiful pieces right here. So these are the Eibach springs, and I know they make two different springs. They make these ones, and then they make a different kind. I'm not sure what these are called. I think these are the Sport lines, and then there's another one. I think it's the Pro. The Sport lines, which are these ones, are supposed to be a little more aggressive, a little more stiff, but they're definitely going to be better than the current D2 springs I have in my car. So let me show you. Okay, so on my car now, I have probably, yeah, you can't see it in there, but in there, I promise you, is the D2 racing springs that I installed, I want to say 3 years ago. So for the price, the D2 racing springs were great. I didn't expect them to last forever. They were cheap, and they did the job. They made me really, really, really low, and I loved the look. But the stipulation with that is they started riding like crap not that long after I put them on. And they just got worse and worse and worse. And every winter, it just got worse and worse. And now they're all corroded and nasty. So today, I'm turning this car back into a well-handling, well-performing, not ride like crap vehicle. So after a brief read-through of these, something interesting. So each spring is marked. So this is the front left. This is the front right, and these two are both the rears. So that's very, very good to know. Easy to tell, you can't mess it up. And on top of that, each spring has a little Eibach logo on it. You want that facing upright when you install them. So it is literally impossible to put these in incorrectly. All right, with all that out of the way, let's start throwing them in the car. I'm gonna get the rear lifted up and get right to work. Okay, I got my little setup going. So yeah, you can see how nasty that is. First step is going to be remove that little bolt and that little bolt. Then you can just pull the control arm down, pull the spring out, and put the new one in. So let's go ahead and get to work. Hey, that's my light. What are you doing? So this first bolt over here looks like it's a 17 millimeter. So I don't know if I can get to it without taking the wheel off, but I'm sure as hell gonna try. Nope, I'm gonna go take the wheel off now. All right, now that the wheel is off, I'm gonna go ahead and take this puppy out. It's not going to be that easy, I don't think, but it sure looks it. Oh, not too bad. Make sure you got a big old 1/2-inch ratchet. You get right in there. You know, maybe I could have just used the impact for this. I think that's what we're going to do. I'm going to grab my impact. Okay, one down. All right, one bolt down. I think one to go. Get yourself an impact. It makes life a lot easier. Oh, wow, it was that easy. Okay. Wow, this spring is absolutely thrashed, man. Holy crap. This thing is donezo. Can I squeeze it by hand? Oh my God, I can squeeze it really easy by hand. Yeah, this thing was ready to go. Treated me well for a couple years though, and I looked sick as hell. All right, let's go take this one apart and put the new stuff back on. Okay, so I have them both lined up next to each other. This is the top on both, this is the bottom on both. You can see I have them pretty close to symmetrical, maybe something like there. I'm gonna be a lot higher, which is, I'm not excited about, but I'm very excited for my car to be drivable for more than 20 minutes without feeling like my back's gonna break. So yeah, we'll see how it sits when it's all done, but it's definitely gonna be a little bit higher than I was. I'm gonna go ahead and transfer this and this over to the new spring and pop it in the car. I'm just gonna reiterate this one more time. I cleaned these off, and then when you put it in, you want the closer coils. So you want the tighter coils up here going up to the top of the vehicle. Whereas these far, more spaced out coils you want going down. Okay, I doubt you can see this, but when you put it in, on the lower control arm here, you'll see two little like holes for the rubber stops to go through. That's what you want to make sure you're poking through. All right, little tip for anyone, make sure you do this bolt first, because this little piece, the sway bar end link here, has to go through the underside of this control arm. I did this one first, and now I can't get it through. So I got to take this one all the way out, do this one first, and put that one back in. All right, that's in, but it's not torqued. All right, got both bolts in. I'm gonna leave the suspension under a little bit of load, torque these to spec, move on to the other side. Okay, this side completely done. I'm gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. I'm not gonna record it because that's repetitive. And then we'll move on to the fronts. So far, this has not been too bad at all. I've been out here for maybe, what, half an hour? Got everything done on this side. Everything looks good. And the red looks dope as hell. Okay, the rear is all buttoned up. I got both sides torqued down. And yes, I remembered to torque my wheels. Don't worry. Isn't that right, Luca? Time to move on to the much harder part, the fronts. So, sway bar end link here. You got that guy. Little adaptive damper plug, that guy. There's one big bolt back there. And I think that's literally, oh, wait. And then your 3 up top here on by your top hat. So yeah, those 3, a couple down here. I think that's all I gotta do. If I am having trouble, you can go under the vehicle. I don't even know if you can see. You got 3 nuts here at the bottom of your lower control arm. You can take those out as well if you are struggling. I'm gonna try not to, but if I end up having to, I will let you know. Okay, so this sway bar here is kind of weird. So it's got a nut on this outside that you can see poking through there, right? But the entire stud spins. So if you look inside there, it's a little 6-point. So if you put a little 6-point something in the actual stud itself to keep it from spinning, then you can put a wrench on the outside nut and it should come off. Okay, so this is the first thing that's really giving me trouble here is this big nut back here. So I have a breaker bar, impact socket, so that's good. That's not gonna break, hopefully. And then you can put that inside your jack handle like this to give you a bunch of torque. So we'll see how this goes. If this doesn't work, I'm gonna use some heat. I already used PB Blaster, that didn't do shit. So hopefully this works and I won't have to get out the torch. Okay, update. So I managed to get the whole knuckle out from the strut here, as you can see. The bolt on the back side of the knuckle here, you can see the hole right there, that guy, that one right there. I don't know why it was so damn tight, but it was. I had to heat the crap out of it, but once I got it red hot, it kind of came right off. So yeah, keep that in mind. I got that real hot. And then also, you do not have to take out those lower control arm bolts to do this. You just wiggle and pull and it'll come out. So, last thing I gotta do is get that little clip, and then I pull the top hat mount bolts, and she's ready to come out. I got this strut out. Now I gotta figure out how to, I guess, disassemble it to get it to the spring. So I'll bet you, yep, so turn it around for you. So right here, you can see there's a nut. Okay, so it's at this stage you're gonna need your little spring compressor. They work pretty simple. You just, well, this is a horrible example. Okay, let me set this up a little better. Okay, I got my spring compressor all set up here. So you can see, you want one of these as far apart as possible. Then you're gonna take your gun or your ratchet and twist those. As you're twisting those, you can see it working. It will come together and compress. And I have this one on this side. I probably honestly don't really need a second one, but I'm gonna use it just for peace of mind anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this spring out of here. Okay, this is going to be very difficult to show you, but you're gonna need one of these guys. It's a wrench with a pretty large offset because, as you can see here, you need to put a little 6-point something inside the threads there in that shaft, and then this needs to go around it to hold it to keep it from spinning. So it needs to be something like that. Then you're gonna take this guy, put it in the middle of the wrench, then spin. All right, so before you do that, make sure you have your spring compressed because otherwise it'll shoot right out at you, and that's dangerous. But then you're good to take off your top hat here. And there's your strut. So, I think all I gotta do now is uncompress it slowly, take the spring out, put the new spring in, and throw it back in the car. Oh, I'm down to the bare strut. Whoops. That's right. That's what I'm trying to figure out here. Let's see. All right. This one's all good. I'm gonna throw it back in the car. It's just gonna be the opposite procedure. Unless I have trouble, I'm not gonna show you much. Driver's side, officially done. Everything's torqued to spec, ready to drive on, I hope. We're gonna listen for some funny noises when we finally get it done. Now, I took a little lunch break and I'm working on passenger side. So what I'm gonna do for this side is kind of walk you guys through what I struggled with on that side and probably again what I'm gonna struggle with on this side.
The old one. Yuck.
Ew.
Ew.
Okay, first piece of advice I have for you guys is going to be about this bolt right there on the side. This big guy is a pain in the butt to get out. I had to PB blast it and use heat and lift it up. So, my tip for you guys is use a penetrating oil of some kind the night before, or at least a couple hours before you get to this. And when you're doing it, make sure you have a jack lifting the suspension up, putting a little bit of load on it. It'll come out a lot better that way. All right, so for that big bolt, like I was saying, this is the second time in a row I've had to use the frickin' torch. So I'm going to put anti-seize on both sides. I already put some on the first side. I am going to, the bolt's really hot so I can't touch it right now, but I'm gonna put anti-seize on that bolt before I do anything else because that needs to not do that again. Okay.
Yay!
Hey, I have my own filmer now. I like this. Oh, I kind of forgot to hold it. Whoops. Hopefully it didn't do anything bad. Uh-oh.
Ooh, purple.
And yellow. Look at all the orange and yellow on it.
Let's see.
The front's not as bad as the back. Okay. Now to do surgery.
I cleaned up the bolt.
All right, I have every tool cleaned up. The car is officially ready to go. Everything's torqued to spec. Now all I have to do is put it in reverse, back it out, and we'll see how it looks. Even before the suspension settles so far, it doesn't look much different than the D2 springs. Maybe it's just a hair higher, but the suspension hasn't even settled yet. So I think it's gonna turn out good. And if the ride quality is any good, oh, it's a win. Anyway, I'm gonna pull this out, we'll take a final look, and then I'm gonna take it for a quick little drive and give you guys my final thoughts. All right guys, I made it to the local AutoZone. I'm gonna make this quick because it's rainy and windy and you probably can't even hear me. But install is done, and it is just a smidgen higher. The rear looks about the same. The front is definitely sitting a little bit taller, but I really don't mind. I think it actually is gonna look really good with my summer wheels. Anyway, my final thoughts are as follows. These feel way better than those old D2 ones did. Low speed, high speed, cornering, like quick bumps, these big dips, anything, these feel significantly better. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna get out of this rain now. Thank you for all the support on the channel recently. I love all of you. Have a good one.